Money FM 89.3, the best of your money. The U.S. Market Update with Money FM 89.3.
Good morning. Welcome to the U.S. Markets Wrap and a look at Wall Street. And a look at Wall Street is green, and that's where we have the tech-heavy index jumping 1.4% and Nasdaq Composite higher. We've got the S&P 500 rising 0.7% to 6,038, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average climbing 0.3% to 44,556. So what drove the regular session higher seemed to be around Panther's earnings, which saw the company's shares popping about 24% on their fourth quarter results. We had other big tech names also moving in line with that climb. But otherwise, we have some earnings to chew on, with Alphabet in the late hours starting to, miss estimates and weigh on investors' sentiment. So let's check in out with Matt Maley. He's the Chief Market Strategist for Maley Tabak. Good morning, Matt. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great as well, Matt. Great to have you on. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the numbers out this morning. And we've got, I think, right in the front of where investors have been, trying to navigate 2025, the back and forth with the tech space right now. We had DeepSeek initially rattling markets. Now we've got earnings. And it seems like coming through with the latest bunch of numbers, Alphabet and AMD's numbers are failing to inspire. Walk us through what you're taking away from the latest numbers on that front.
Yeah, I mean, these numbers are, a little disappointing. We got last week, some of those tech numbers were fine. But this week we're seeing, you mentioned the Google, or the Alphabet. That stock trading down almost 8% in the pre-market trading and the aftermarket trading. And, of course, Advanced Micro Devices is also trading lower. Now, Advanced Micro is a little bit different because they've been struggling a little bit already with some of their AI chips. So that's a little disappointing. But I think also with Alphabet, people are still trying to figure out if this AI phenomenon is really going to produce the kind of earnings that everybody has been hoping for almost 2 years now. So it's definitely a bit of a setback, especially after, of course, the news from DeepSeek last week.
Yeah, a bit of a slowdown when it comes to the cloud business for Alphabet, despite all the talk around how AI is going to be needing more computing power and so on. So not really impressing investors enough on that front. So what's your take on investing in the tech space this year? Is this a year to rotate elsewhere?
I do. I think it is. I mean, of course, you still, it's not like you want to sell all your tech stocks. So but you just might want to pare back a little bit. I mean, NVIDIA is still a great company, but you want the overweight that you had it in the past. And I just think that the promise of AI and the earnings that everybody was expecting is going to be tougher to come by this year. And some of those expectations are going to have to come down. So, and as the institutional investor starts to realize that they're not going to get the outside gains, they're overweight in all these names. They're going to start cutting back. And I think that could, create some headwinds for the group. And, after 2 incredibly great years, 2022 and 2024, it wouldn't surprise me if these stocks didn't do quite as well this year.
Yeah, I suppose part of the story here is also China, because they have retaliated against Donald Trump's tariffs by targeting a handful of American companies and also slapping levies on some U.S. goods. In particular, it says they will investigate Google for alleged antitrust violations. So that's even more headwinds on Alphabet. So what do you take away from the latest tit for tat when it comes to the trade war and how that's going to affect markets?
Well, again, that's another thing. I mean, some people here in the U.S. are saying after everything turned almost immediately with these tariffs with both Canada and Mexico, a lot of people have been thinking, oh, geez, we have nothing to worry about. And I do think the situation with China and with ones with Europe, which haven't even been announced yet, could create a bigger headwinds than the market is pricing in right now. And this is something we've been talking about. I do my podcast, the MaileyReports.com podcast, and it's just something we're concerned about after 2 great years. And I think that people should be looking maybe at some other sectors if they really want to outperform this year.
All right, Matt, which are sectors that look still attractive to you, or at least defensive-wise?
Yeah, I think that some of the other areas to look at, this healthcare issue is one where I think that people could do very well in, especially some of the beaten down stocks like Pfizer and Regeneron. But, people are really nervous about the new head of the Health and Human Services here, Robert Kennedy Jr., but I think that's a bit overdone and in the stock market. And so I think it's an area where people could outperform and kind of rotate towards. That, along with the energy sector, which I think is one that is a lot cheaper than people realize and presents some good opportunities.
Yeah, how much is Donald Trump helping with the energy sector? Because he's been talking about drilling more and also, I suppose, putting more supply in the markets. How much would that do for oil majors?
Well, it's one of the things is that even though President Trump wants to do a lot more drilling, like this drill, baby, drill, most of the companies don't want to do that. So I guess the fear that they're going to drill so much that it's going to create all sorts of added supply and therefore not oil prices down, I think is not really going to come to fruition. And the other thing we had today where President Trump, he signed this thing, a memo was blocking, where he aiming to block at the Iran achieving nuclear weapons. This is something that the situation in the Middle East is still, it's kind of gone off the front pages, but it's still a problem. And if Israel or anybody else does anything to try to damage Iran's nuclear capabilities, that could create a real big spike in crude oil. So I think geopolitical issues can come into play as well.
All right, we've been in conversation with Matt Maley. He's the Chief Market Strategist for Tabak. Matt, thank you so much for your time and insights today.
Thank you. You have a great one.
You too. Great chatting with you. Stay on Money FM 89.3.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.